Now that we've discussed some of the technical information you need to know when you're doing video editing, number one, resolution of the video frame is 1920 by 1080 pixels. Second, that we're working with 30 frames per second. Every 30 frames makes up 1 second in time. And finally, time code down here is hours, minutes, seconds, and then the last two numbers are the number of frames. Okay, so now if you look over here on the right, I've got some recent projects. Let me go to my version 3. And this is an edited project I did already for the coffee scene. If you notice down here, I've got 3 video tracks, video 3, video 2, video 1. You always start on video 1 and work your way up, similar to layers in Photoshop. I'm going to get rid of video 3. Right click on this track, track operations, remove the track. I don't need 3 tracks of video. I'm going to keep a second one just so it moves this track down a bit. We have a little freedom to move. I can also move things up to track 2 if I need to. Okay, so what do we have here? This is our timeline here. This is we're going to build our project left to right. We start at 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds, and 0 frames. Okay, and then we build our project left to right like we read a book. And these are all individual video clips as I take my cursor and drag across them. And you can see different edges of these clips highlight, the ins and out points they're called. Up top we have our media bin, you would call it in many different programs. In this case, they just call it the playlist. You've got to have the playlist turned on here to see it. And that's where you'll import your files to this panel. Okay, I'll show you that process in a minute. So these are all what are called assets, the things we're going to use to make this video. All our video clips, we've got a couple of images, and we also have a title over here. On the right side, this is where we'll see our project being built. If we're in the project tab, we'll see our timeline video. Okay, so there you go. If I'm in the source tab, I can double click a video and preview it down here. Now I've already edited this so you can see that this clip's been shortened. We'll get into that. But source means I'm looking at clips directly from our playlist, not clips on our timeline. So be aware that you should be on project when you're editing and source if you just want to look at something. Let's go to project. Okay, again, now we're on our timeline. Okay. What I'm doing right now is called scrubbing the timeline. I'm taking the play bar and I'm scrubbing across clips. I'm going to turn off the audio right now because it's a little loud and annoying. I'm going to just turn it off by muting it with the little speaker here on track 1. And I can just unmute it when I need to. But you notice I can see the audio clips. Look, they're grayed out right now. They're there, they're just not being heard. Let me show you what scrubbing looks like. It's going to be the thing you're going to use all the time. I can take my cursor and I can move forward and I can move backwards. So let me take one clip. Let me take this clip here where Elsie's walking. Okay, I've dragged it up to video 2 just to get it out of the timeline sequence here of our video, just to show you. So I'm going to drag forward and you can see if I select the clip, you should see Elsie walking. Now, this program at times can be a little finicky. So I'm not going to see this on, oh, I've got this track on shy, it's called. I'm hiding it. I got to turn it on. That's all. Okay, so just like Photoshop, you can hide different tracks or different layers in Photoshop. I had it hidden. It was fooling me. There we go. I see it. Now I can do what's called scrubbing. Look, if I go to the right, it's going forward. If I scrub to the left slowly, he's going backwards. That's called scrubbing. So that's how you can pick your edit points very conveniently. If I use my arrow keys, if I arrow key right, it's going to advance frame by frame. So that's where you can get very accurate edits. Frame by frame, right arrow key multiple times. And now you can see how individual frames make up a second of video. If I use the left arrow key, it's going backwards in time. So I can get very accurate edits using my arrow keys, frame by frame. Cool, right? Okay, so that's just a bit to get us started. I'm going to get you started now making your own project file. The first thing you must do is go to the Google Drive link I sent you and download this coffee sequence -editing folder. You're going to right click it and you're going to go download. Do the whole folder. Download everything in that folder. Click download. And then down on the right, if you're using Google Chrome, which I want you to do, it's zipping. It's putting all these files, including a music folder, into one zipped folder. Okay? And that's kind of for convenience. Instead of having this great big list of files on your computer, you're going to have one zipped folder that you'd have to then double click to unzip it and move your files to an editing folder. Now, I'm going to stop doing this because I've already got the clips. So I'm going to click the X and I've canceled the download. Remember, up here, 3 dots. If you're on Chrome, which I want you to be, go to Settings. So 3 dots, Settings. Go to Advanced Settings, go to Downloads, and tell it where you want to save this downloaded zip file, zip folder. Okay, I've already picked a place. It's in my hard drive. It's in grade 11 in this case, video editing, and I have saved them coffee sequence, and then I've actually downloaded everything here. Okay? So pick a folder that you want to download to so it makes it easy to manage. Okay, I'm going to get out of the settings. So that's the download process. Until you have the files on your computer, you can't go much further really. Okay, let's go back to Shotcut. That's just the sort of general sense of this project. I'll get into editing much more, working with the timeline, scrubbing the timeline, using your arrow keys as we progress. That's the entire finished video without titles and without music. Just the raw clips that have been trimmed and then put in order. So how do we start? I'm going to go to File, New. Okay, do I want to save any changes I've made to what I've done? No. I'm going to start from scratch. First thing you need to do in the New Project window is select a folder where you want to save your project file. I'm saving my project files in my folder where I downloaded the media to. And you see there's folders there. That's not the one I'm going to use. I'm going to go back. There's my 3 different versions. Okay, version 1, 2, 3. I'm going to open this folder and save this one. Okay, I'm going to save it in that folder. Doesn't matter what my name is. Yours is going to be different. It's going to have your first name. It's going to have underscore video editing folder. And then in there you might have a coffee scene edit folder. So however you organize it, just keep it organized. Don't put it on your downloads and don't put it on your desktop. Project name, I want your first name. I'll use my last, Snyder underscore coffee scene edit. Okay, that's the name of my file, my project file. And I'm going to say V4 because I had a V3. So V4 for version 4. Or I'll just keep it like that. The next thing that's important, so folder, file name. Make sure your name's on it, please. Video mode, this is important. We can click the automatic and we can pick the resolution of our video and the frame rate. Look, there's 1080p, 30 frames per second or 2997. If you're not sure, you can keep it in auto. Okay, we have different frame rates. Remember I said film is 24 frames per second. And if I didn't say it, I'm saying it now. Okay, high definition 4K video settings are down here. I'm not sure what my video clips are, so I'm going to keep it on automatic. And what does that mean? It means when I import the first video clip, it's going to set my project settings to match that first clip. And that's important that we have a match between the clips and the project settings, that the frame rate's the same, that the resolution is the same. If I don't bring video in first, look, it's going to screw things up. It's going to make the resolution 1920 by 1080, which is fine. But look at the frame rate. That's going to mess us totally up. So we don't want to import, say, a photo or music first. It's got to be our video if we keep it on automatic, which I'm going to do. So keep it on automatic, click Start, and nothing dramatic has happened. It's just told the program what to do when I bring in my first video clips. So to do what's called import, that's what almost all programs called import. You're bringing the media from your hard drive into your project file so you can actually work with them. You're going to, in Shotcut, use something called open file. I'm going to select the files on my computer. I know which files are which. These are the converted coffee files, because if I didn't convert them, they wouldn't play well on my timeline. So I had to convert them all. And that's why we had to download them perhaps a second time, because the first version of the files was a .mts and they didn't play smoothly. So I've converted them. It's called transcoding. And now all these files are .mp4. It's a very standard video flavor, if you will, a format. Select the first one. Same on a PC. Hold Shift, select the last one. I've now selected that entire range of files and click Open. Now look at how quickly that imports. If you're using WeVideo, it actually has to upload the clips.
Start my day off right with a freshly brewed.
Oh, that whole annoying thing where it plays the clips right away. That's annoying. If you're using WeVideo and you add files to your project, it has to actually upload them to the internet to WeVideo first. So you'll see some progress bars and things. It takes longer in WeVideo. But WeVideo is very slick, and we'll get to that in a different tutorial. Okay, so now what we've got is all of our media. These are called the assets for our project, things we're going to use. Now we're missing something, because I don't want to start the video with just a shot of Mr. Elsie here. I want to start it with a graphic. So I'm going to go Open File again. And if you look at my original folder, let me go back one. Yours are all going to be downloaded as one. I've got two coffee bean graphics, okay? And I'm going to download them. Sorry, import them. So there's a large one. Look, it says large. That means that was a large image when I downloaded it. It's going to fit my screen. This one wasn't. Let me just show you what happens. I'm going to select both of them. Just select one, hold Command and select the other. They're both selected. They're blue. They're highlighted. Select Open. It'll import them to the project file. There you go. Now, if you look at the difference here, this particular file here was the first picture of coffee beans I brought in. If I double click it and go to source here, let me go to this one. Sorry, that's the smaller one. You see this one here? I thought it said large. It doesn't. This was not a large image when I downloaded it. It was too small. It wasn't 1920 by 1080 pixels. It didn't fit the screen perfectly. Look, I've got these black bars. That's the classic black bars. You can have them on the sides. You can have them on the tops, depending what you're working with. Usually it's the sides. So this image wasn't big enough. I could deal with it. Or I could say, you know what? Let's just go get a large image that does fit the screen. So I've actually downloaded this one. I double click it. It'll add it to this preview monitor as long as I'm in source here. Okay, and see, it fits nicely. I don't have to resize it or do anything because I don't really want to scale things because these are raster graphics. So I'm going to say, okay, that one's the small one, double clicked, no good. I'm going to right click it and I'm going to remove it from my project, not from my computer. Gone, I don't need it. Double click that one, there it is. That's the first thing I'm going to see in my project. So let's start to build our project now. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, first, the thing you want to add to your timeline down here, you have to select it. It has to be highlighted in blue. If I have something else by chance selected, and then I go and click on the coffee, look, it's grabbing what was selected. That's kind of tricky. It took me a while to figure that out. Why? I'm dragging this. It's not adding this. It's adding something else. Because, in fact, what it's done is it's always going to add the video or clip or picture that is highlighted. So Command Z is your friend. Back. Go back. Undo. Okay, so I've got to select it, highlight it, and drag it to my timeline. Okay, there we go. Now, watch this. I'm going to drag it and snap it to the beginning of my project. So it's starting at 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 frames, and 0 seconds. 0 hours, let's go over here. 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds, and 0 frames. That's the start of my project. And if you look right now, my project is 4 seconds long. By default, if I select this image and go to Properties, it's adding any image that I add as a 4-second image. There's the duration. It's 4 seconds long. Now, it doesn't matter where I add it in my timeline. Okay. It says the resolution is 1020 by 573. We know that's not correct. It's much bigger than that. Not sure why it's seeing that. Doesn't matter. It's filling the frame. That's what we care about. So there's the properties. It's added 4 seconds of this bean shot. I'm going to close my properties. It's this little weird looking X. Close it. I don't need it. Now, I don't like the fact I don't have space above this track because it feels a bit crowded to me. I want to be able to show you things on the timeline that aren't crowded. I'm going to right click on my video track and I'm going to go to Track Operations and I'm going to add a video track. You can use Command I if you want. We don't do it enough to remember the shortcut. Just do it that way. Right click, Track Options, Add Video Track. And there, it adds it above. So like Photoshop, you're editing from the lower tracks first and working your way up. Things on top cover things down below. So a title would cover this shot. At least part of this shot, depending where the title is. Okay? I've just put it there for convenience. Now, I may say I don't need this great big monitor here on the right. So what I'm going to do is just adjust it. I want the tracks to come up a little higher because it's easier for you to see. I don't need to have this great big screen here. I could also drag it this way, but I've got all this gray space, which is dead space not being used. So I'm going to just drag it back like so. I've got my clips up here. I can resize these windows with these little grippers. Okay, so remember that. So there's my first shot. It lasts 4 seconds. Okay, now what do we got to do? We've got to go to our PDF that's in the Google Drive. And it says Order of Shots, Coffee Sequence Editing Assignment. Double click it. And hey, there's the order of the clips that we're going to add to our project to have a finished video. I gave this to you because you weren't there for the shoot. You really don't know what's happening. So I've told you what's happening. It's only fair. So the first shot we put in was this one up here, coffee background title. And then the first video clip is shot 151. Let me go down to Shotcut. Shot 151. There's the number down here. That's the first shot. I'm going to click it. It's selected, drag it, and drop it on video 1. And I'm going to leave a bit of a space here now just to give me some working space to show you how we're going to trim things. Okay, I've taken my play bar towards the start of the video clip, and let me play it. Spacebar plays and pauses. Spacebar, spacebar, spacebar. Do not use this. This is awkward. In 3, 2. Okay, so here's the cool thing. With audio, we can not only hear audio, we can see audio. This is the audio waveform. The higher the waveform, the louder the sound. You can hear my countdown right here. It's not on the mic, it's off mic, it's called. But I can see when else he starts to talk. So I can see when he starts to talk from the audio, but also I'm going to watch the visual. In 3, 2. Okay, I don't want to start with him with his mouth open. So now I'm going to take this clip back. I'm going to scrub now backwards. And I'm going to give a little bit what's called pad before he starts to speak. Okay, and it's a judgment call how much. Okay, he starts to speak. I'm going to give that much pad. So I'm going to trim this clip now at this point and create what's called a new in point. Okay, there's a couple ways to do it. I could go to this leading edge of this clip and see how it turns green with a double arrow. It means now I can drag it. Now before I do that, make sure that you have snap on so that this leading edge of the clip will snap to the play bar. I find dragging the in point snaps nicely. I find dragging the out point doesn't work as well. So now I've trimmed this video. I've gotten rid of the junk off the front. What if I've made a mistake? Well, look, you just go back to the leading edge and you can drag it back out. Oops. I grabbed the whole clip, Get the double arrow and then drag out. See that? It's all still there because this is non-destructive editing. I'm not destroying this clip in any way. I'm just telling the computer I only want to use this part of it. I'm giving it instructions. Okay, so it's non-destructive. If I delete this clip, it's gone from my timeline, but it's still up here on my playlist, and it's still on my computer. Non-destructive. Command Z to bring it back. Okay, I know I want to trim this just before his mouth opens, so let me go. I'll do it this way. There we go. So, and then I'm going to trim this clip, drag it, and snap it. And then I'm going to play it. Before I do that, let me just snap this, click and drag it. See the hand tools dragging this clip and snaps to the end of the coffee. So let's watch. I'll just watch the last second of the coffee.
I like to start my day off right with a freshly brewed cup of coffee.
And clearly I don't need him standing there. It's awkward when he's standing there so long. So what I'm going to do is play this clip back in real time, and I'm going to pick the out point. We've changed the in point by trimming it. We're going to change the out point now by trimming the end of the clip. So I'm going to play it in real time to get a sense of pacing.
With a freshly brewed cup of coffee.
There, I think that's enough. I don't need to see him posing there any longer. Now, I could go and drag the out point, but watch what happens when I do the out point. See how that play bar moves if I touch the play bar with the... Let me go back. So if I've decided that's my out point right there, I'm finding that dragging the out point's not very effective because it moves the play bar. See, I'm changing actually my edit point. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go back a couple steps. So snap it. There we go. Play it in real time.
Cup of coffee.
There, that's my out point. So what I'm going to do here is actually use a different method of trimming. I'm going to split this clip in two parts and delete the part I don't want. S, the letter S for split on your keyboard, will split that clip into two. See, there's one part, there's another. And I'm going to delete the second part of it because that's the part I don't want. And then I'm going to play that clip in its entirety.
I like to start my day off right with a freshly brewed cup of coffee.
Okay, good. And I think that's pretty good. I don't hang them out there too long. Maybe I want to trim a bit more off. So what I'll do now is I'll zoom in on my timeline. Plus, 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 expanding that clip view. I could use the slider, pain in the butt in this program. Okay? We have plus, plus, plus to zoom in, minus, minus, minus to zoom out on our timeline. So plus, plus, plus. Now I'm going to use the S key, split again, split it. I've just trimmed off a bit more. Highlight the part I don't want, delete it, and now I've shortened the amount of time that Elsie's standing there with the coffee.
Cup of coffee.
There. So that's my first two elements here on my timeline. The coffee beans where we're going to put a title, and then Elsie introducing the video. We'll put a title on him probably at some point too. Now let's go to our Google document. What's the next shot? Elsie on camera was 151, 156, shot 156. So let's go to Shotcut. Okay, there, look, 151, yeah, that's the right clip. Go to 156, there's the number, select it, click, drag down. Now see how it's going off the screen? Minus, 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 or the slider will help you resize your timeline. You're not changing the length of anything, you're just changing the view. Okay, let's look at what this clip does now. Okay?
3, 2.
Okay. So Elsie's hand comes in with the cup, and then he takes away the water container for the coffee maker, because you can't make coffee without water. So I'm going to trim this clip now so that it starts just before Elsie's hand comes into the frame, to give us a bit of a visual transition between him on camera and now his hand comes into frame, puts down the cup and grabs the water. Okay, so there's his hand. Now I'm going to use the arrow keys. Left arrow key to go back. And I give a little bit of pad to the shot. So I took it back maybe too many frames. We'll see. That's where I want to start this clip, is just before his hand comes into the frame. I'm going to use the split method here. I'm going to use S for split, select the beginning of the clip, hit delete. Let me play it now. I like the timing of that. And once he leaves, he's gone. So I'm going to split the end of the clip, make a new out point. I'm going to trim off the stuff I don't want, select it, delete it, and now I've got a clip that is Elsie hand comes in, takes away the water container, his hand leaves the frame with the water container, and then that's the end of the shot. Hand in, hand out. Good. Let's snap that now up to the previous shot, the one of Elsie on camera. Let's play those two clips now.
Freshly brewed cup of coffee.
Good. So there we've got 3 shots now in our timeline, in order. That makes sense. And it's a feel thing as to how much, how much we should see before his hand comes in. You don't want to make it too tight that it's uncomfortable when you watch it. It's too rushed, but you don't want to have these long pauses either. So that's a judgment call. Now let's go and look at what's the next shot. Okay, the next shot is 158. Okay, so I'm going to go get 158. Okay, so there's 156. 158's the next shot. Let me select it, drag it down. Okay, there it is. Let's see what it does now. I'm going to play it in real time, space bar to play, space bar to pause. Okay, so what the shot really is a transition from Elsie leaving with the water container in this shot, and he's leaving so he can go over to the sink to fill it up with water. So the camera operator in this case said, okay, let me start for a transition, a close-up of the sink. Okay, so close-up of just the sink, nobody's in the shot, and then I'm going to back off the sink, walk literally backwards to widen the shot out so that Elsie can walk into the frame. So then my decision is, where do I cut it? I'm going to cut it as it starts to move back. There. Okay, so now I can scrub. I don't need to see a blank sink for too long. So just see if I scrub back and forth, I get the motion there. I'm going to just pick it up just as it starts to move right there. In this case, I can trim it this way, changing my in point by snapping it to the playhead. And then I can drag this clip over, snap it to the end of the other clip, which is Elsie taking the water container to the sink. Now, I know this video, so I know once he reaches to turn the water on, we're going to cut to another shot. But for now, what I want you to do is lay these shots down in order, in sequence, to get yourself used to trimming clips, changing the in point, changing the out point. Okay, so that's your task for now, and then we'll pick it up and we'll do some more editing. And some of the editing that we're going to do going forward on this project is going to be even more crucial as far as matching the action.